Yeah, I think for yeah, if you think about the customer experience and the effort put into that, McDonald's in the recent years have launched a number of digital platforms and efforts where now we want to know our customer. For example, it matters the experience. We have a number of technologies that you may have seen in the news where we no longer like, well, I should say no longer, but if you ever go to a McDonald's and you don't hear someone offer to sell you something, you might want to look around at the digital menu board to see if it's doing it via AI for you, right? And that sort of thing. And it's taking into account contextual things like the weather and the time of day and how many voices it hears in the car. And I'm not telling you it's all out there everywhere today, but we're going there to make it easy for that mom, right? We want to be able to pull the mom's voice out of the crowd and understand, she's in charge and she's the one that needs to be listened to and reverberate back the menu things. And when we think about that, there's an old, I used to support call centers back as part of my healthcare IT career. And we knew back then that if you wanted to know how satisfied your customers were, start with your agents in the call center. See how satisfied they are. How happy are those customers? And it was interesting listening to Wendy talk about all of the tools. You may actually have more tools than we have. I used to think if there's a tool out there, we use it. It sounds like you got them all great. You should have a conversation. What I'd say is I used to think, is employee happiness a KPI or key performance indicator for productivity? And our focus went towards the things that we think make you more productive, including things in the restaurant. So put in things that make things operational easier, get to alerts faster, or that sort of stuff. Get someone's laptop to them the day they show up, right? Versus that. And there was a lot of effort on that, and we think we made great strides. I think what's happening through this post the great resignation and things like that, we learned maybe productivity is a KPI for happiness. And if you measure happiness and you measure experience, you might get the rest of that. It might be instead of being a laggard, it might be a leading indicator of how things are going to go, because outcomes for projects sort of speak for themselves, right? So what I'd say is now the linkage is if we have motivated, relatively happy, adjusted employees, there tends to be a dividend that pays off in the rest of the organization. That makes sense, Dan.